Dear Dairy. Traffic. Dear Dairy. Or Dear Dairy, depending on which one you really want to hear. I don't know. I could say, Dear Dairy, and I'm not doing that. No. So here we... Wednesday, isn't it? Oh. And I had no time to read or pre-read anything. Wow. Okay, this could be very not a Writing Wrednesday episode. Let's see what I have sitting on my desktop, if anything, that is readable by me, that is not porn. So, my new computer is almost done. I'm almost finished building it. Now, once, don't worry, I'm looking while I'm telling you this. What I did was, Geeked almost sent me the money from the fundraiser, and that plus a little bit of my own. For those of you who had not heard, it's about it was almost $1,500 for this particular machine. Part of the reason that it costs so much more is that I live in California. Everything is more expensive here in California. Not as bad as it is in Hawaii, because in Hawaii everything has to be imported. Oddly enough, even sugarcane and coconuts. I don't understand. Those are just psycho crazy expensive too. Makes no sense to me. But I mean, things like milk. There aren't a lot of dairy farms on Oahu. Now, there's a lot of, farms with beef on Hawaii, on the Big Island, but I don't think they're necessarily milking cows. And they certainly don't taste like it. This is where somebody who probably still lives there or has been there recently are going to be like, yeah, they're all bulls. And then that whole statement is going to be like, wow. Let's look in my stories. Thing. I don't have permission to do that one. That one's porn. That one's porn. That one is very porn. Oh, I can read the beginning of that. That one's okay. That one is not. It eventually probably becomes porn, but this part of it is not porn. Given the way things are going with YouTube and everything else, I'm probably just, I think I've pretty much settled on it. I'm going to do away with Writing Wrednesday. There's just no way I can make this work at this point. It's no way. So, all right. This particular story is one that I started writing, oh God, probably about 5 years ago, I guess. And it's entitled The Art of Alchemy. Now, for a long time, I didn't know what it was going to be called, because it's really weird the way most of my writing works. I will have an idea in my head of a particular scene or something, but I can't really start writing on it until I know what the title is. There was a poem I wrote a long time ago. It was a free verse poem that, actually, I'll go ahead and I'll just recite that one for you. Just because I know it by heart, well, by both. And it took me, because I wrote that one while I was still in the Army in Hawaii, and we were going over to the Big Island to do our training, because we like once a year we would go up to the Pohakaloa training area, which is on the saddle between Mauna Loa and Mauna Kea. It's about 12,000 feet up. Very interesting, learning to breathe at that height when you're used to being down at 100 feet above sea level. That's why we spend a week acclimating before we actually get started. Anyway, so we were at the airport, getting ready to fly over, and I had just sat down and just kind of whittled out this, well, not whittled, but, just jotted down this poem. And the only person that was around that I could read it to get an opinion of what they thought was the Army chaplain that was with us. And I did my damnedest never to talk to this guy, because he was always, pardon the phrasing, but this guy was hell-bent on converting me, I believe, to Christianity. No. But anyway, he wouldn't stop. Every time I told him anything, he would turn it into some kind of religious thing. And all it did was make me not want to listen to him anymore. So it's kind of counterintuitive to your job there, sir. Anyway, I didn't have a title for it, and it took me almost 10 years to come up with a title for this. And eventually I did. I eventually entitled it A Backwards Glance from Beyond the End. And it goes like this. On the sunrise of the first day, though a golden and joyous day, I wept for the world and the horrible destiny that waited in store. At the stroke of noon, on the day halfway through its time, I felt content with the knowledge that the end was coming that much nearer. And on the sunset of the last day, though a sad and lamentable day, I laughed aloud with the confidence of what would come next. So I read this to him, and he says, I think it means you're looking for God. And I said, never mind. I just got up and I laughed. I was like, I'm so done talking to this guy. I wish he hadn't been as cute as he was, or an officer. Honestly, I didn't care about his captain's bars. I'd have still screwed him anyway. Sorry, this is not TMI Tuesday. Never mind. Pretend you didn't hear that part. So this one also took me a while to title it. But what I had in my mind, as far as the scene, is this is about, and it's a furry story. So for those of you who freak out about, oh my God, it's a furry thing, it's fine. Trust me, it's fine. There's a scene in this where, and I haven't gotten to it yet. This alchemist, he's a grand alchemist. He gets assigned to the province that his tutor, the alchemist that trained him, when she dies, he gets assigned to the province where she lived. So help me, if you start, I'm gonna slap your face. He gets assigned by the Grand Council of the Magus, the High Mages Council, to take over her position as alchemist for the province that she lived in, which is not where he wants to live. He doesn't like that place at all. It's flat. There's no trees. He's a raccoon, so it's just like, it's horribly dusty. He doesn't like the place at all. And the fact that they're ordering him to go, he's just bitter, all kinds of bitter about it. Anyway, so when he finally gets where he's going, when he gets to the home of his now departed tutor, he's walking inside, and there's no lights on, or there's no candles lit or anything that he can readily see. And so he opens the door, and he's walking in. He turns around a corner, and he just... Do you remember, if you've seen Conan the Destroyer, which is the second one, with Grace Jones and Wilt Chamberlain, the scene where Conan, the scene where Conan is drunk, and he gets up, he says, "Excuse me, must get up now." And he gets up, and he starts to walk up, and he just goes face first into Wilt Chamberlain's chest and falls over. That's basically what this scene was in my head for this story that kind of spawned the whole thing, is when the main character meets his mistress's apprentice, or new apprentice, for the first time. But, so this is The Art of Alchemy, and I have not read this in a long time, so forgive me if I screw this up. I'm going to have a swig of tea. Should do this quickly because I'm already at 10 minutes. The Art of Alchemy. Aramel, it is with heavy heart that I take quill in hand to inform you of the passing of Grandmaster Alchemist Mahook. Though her years were long and her skill great, she has moved beyond. It is, therefore, the decision of we, the Council of the Golden Halls, that the title and tasks of Grand Master Alchemist to the Edelin province should be bestowed upon you immediately. We have dispatched a crew to help move your household, and should have you in place before the next new moon. You have both our sympathies at the loss of your friend, excuse me, that's our friend, and our congratulations at the honor of carrying on her legacy. We know that you will make her proud. Signed, Scup, High Magus of the Golden Halls Council. P.S. Sorry to drop yet another burden on you at such short notice, old friend. It seems Mahook had recently taken on a new apprentice. We know only that his name is Chuch. If he proves skillful, you may continue his training if you desire. If not, you may discharge him that he may seek indentureship elsewhere. Telling I think I'm coming down with something. Bastards! Even after the 100th time he had read the message, he could scarcely believe that they were doing this to him. His eyes were just as sore from reading it as his tail was from bouncing on the wooden bench of the cart as the cart clattered along, following the other 6 just like it. Like dusty brown ships, they followed a dusty brown road through a dusty brown green country with a sea of short grass which was too afraid to grow any taller against the windstorms that ravaged the area this summer. A small flotilla of wagons which carried everything he owned. Of all of those who had studied under Mahook over her long life, of all of her students, why had the council chosen him? Why had he been the one uprooted from his beloved forest of towering majesty, with trees so tall that a pie, fresh from the oven, would be cold before it could fall from canopy to root? He knew that from youthful mischievous experience. Why had he been the one sent to this dusty, flat plain? He looked at the message again. We know you will make her proud. Bastards! They chose him because they knew he wouldn't say no. Not to her. Adolin was, as he complained to his crew many times, horrifically flat. There weren't even any trees, at least not what anyone would call a tree. Not one of them stood much higher than the tops of the plain, squat houses of the region. Is that thing magic? The driver asked beside him. Aramel raised his weary eyes and looked over at the armadillo beside him. What? Oh, we got an armadillo in this one too, because the last one I read had a... Maybe I was on an armadillo kick at the time. Anyway, sorry. Partly plated fingers shifted the reins from one grip to the other as the driver pointed at the scroll the raccoon held. There's only the one page, and you've been reading it for days. I thought maybe it might be magic. Aramel rolled up the scroll and tucked it away in his satchel, rubbing his eyes in an attempt to make them feel less gritty. It's cursed, as am I. The armadillo quickly pulled his hand away, as though suddenly confronted by a leper. He idly scratched his claws across his soft belly and glanced several times at the satchel and the raccoon before scooting a few inches further away, trying to focus his attention on the road. So yeah, that's all I have so far. But I always found it really amusing because that was the other scene where the armadillo was like and kind of pulls away as though confronted by a leopard, which struck me especially funny and ironic because armadillos carry leprosy on their stomachs. It's one of the things about their species. And I thought, oh, there's irony for you. Okay, which is why I made him an armadillo. I remember that now, having read that part. So that was the Art of Alchemy. Basically, what happens is Aramel moves into the home of Mahook. She was I don't know if she was a dragon. I know she was a lizard of some kind. Sorry to all you dragons out there. Smaug. Freaking leather chicken. That's probably going to piss him off. But I'm not really all that worried about him. Bard will take care of him. So it's Aramel moves in and decides when he finally meets Chuch, he decides, holy crap, you're huge. And he finds out that Chuch is really good. He's really, really good alchemist. And part of the reason for that is because they live out there where almost nothing wants to grow. And so they have to be better alchemists out there. They have to be better at what they do to work with less and still get the same thing. They are extremely efficient. Nothing goes to waste. It's not like the forest where Aramel came from, where everything grows there. I mean, it's very, very easy to make stuff grow in that incredibly lush forest. And so it's kind of a story of a guy who has been effectively pampered his entire life, and throughout his entire job, he's always had everything very, very easy to him, and he is forced to relocate to an area where things are very far from easy, and he has to learn to adapt. And he finds out that this apprentice, who is supposed to be his apprentice, is actually far better than him at functioning in this new location, because the guy knows how to handle himself in this thing. There's a point where I was going to, oh, that's right, Chuch is a minotaur. I should specify that. And when Aramel gets there, after a couple of weeks, he starts wondering if maybe Chuch is a construct. And because it is against the highest laws of the Golden Hall's council to make you can make constructs. You can make them for virtually any kind of reason. It's kind of Blade Runner-ish, I guess, in a way. You can make them for whatever reason. You can make them for pleasure. You can make them for work. You can make them for whatever. What you cannot do, it is forbidden to teach them alchemy, because then they will start replicating themselves. Once they learn how to create more constructs, the thing is off. So when Aramel starts to suspect that Chuch may be a construct, he goes to the Council of the Golden Halls to speak with Mahuk's cenotaph, which is basically a gigantic golden statue of her that retains all of the knowledge that she had when she died. It's just kind of like to call it a living library is not quite accurate. It can't do anything creative. It has no soul. It is simply a repository of information. And he goes there to consult her cenotaph and to ask her about Chuch, and if he's a construct or not, and she won't answer, which is very bizarre for a cenotaph. If you pose a question to a cenotaph, it has to answer if it knows. And it never says it doesn't know. It just keeps dodging the question and saying that it won't answer. So at some point towards the end of the thing, he finally confronts Chuch and is like, look, I'm not comfortable continuing your training, because honestly, I think you may be a construct. And Chuch kind of laughs and says, no, why would you think I was a construct? And he lays out a couple of different reasons, bits and pieces throughout the story as to why he suspects Chuch. And the fact that this is the sort of thing that Mahuk would do. She would say, because she disagreed with the council. This is all stuff that would come to light in the story. She disagreed that she thought the council was wrong, that you can teach constructs to do anything. That's what we do with our children. The method of making them is a little bit different, but you still, if you raise them right, they're not dangerous. And this is the sort of thing that she would do. She was the kind of person who would, intentionally kind of flaunt them, just be like, that's okay, I'll just make one in secret and teach it, and then no one will ever know. Until the day that I reveal it, haha, he's a construct and none of you knew it, and I taught him alchemy. And so Chuch kind of laughs at this, and it's like, you're right, that is the sort of thing she would do. And she did. He's like, but I'm not the construct. You are. So that was going to be the story. I just haven't written it yet. Not really. But there, now I don't have to. I've told it to you. So blah, blah, blah. Neater, neater. Now I don't have to write it, but I might do it anyway. I shouldn't say that. That's quitter talk right there. Anyway, 20 minutes. So I'm going to go get some food because it's now 10:15 in the evening and I'm hungry because I just woke up from a 4-hour nap. I was apparently much more tired than I thought I was. I think what it is I'm actually trying to sleep as much as possible because that makes the time pass more quickly and I don't have to be awake and not having my new computer. I think that's what it is. Anyway, so I will talk to you guys later on. I will see you for Thursday, whatever Thursday is going to be. And I will, before next week, I will figure out whether I'm going to continue doing the writing Wrednesday. At the very least, there will be 2 more because I had 2 friends who sent me in pieces to read, and I will read those because I told them I would. But it is unlikely that I will do any more than that if I decide not to continue this. I will do those 2 because I said that I would, and then I'll drop it. Which means that, wow, wait a minute. 2. That's as many Wednesdays as there are left in the year. Huh. So it all kind of works out. And we could do something neat and new next, and I would have to do that. I would have, because the changes to YouTube that are coming down, I wouldn't be able, unless I had written consent from somebody else. Shut up. God. Unless I had written consent, which I'm sure that both of these guys would happily give me written consent. But because of the copyright crackdown laws that are coming down. And if you guys have not looked into this, I mean, even if you're not content providers, while it doesn't impact you directly, you should definitely take a look into this thing, because if it impacts content providers, then it also certainly impacts you guys, because there won't be as much stuff for you guys to watch. So definitely keep an eye out on that. But until I talk to you guys tomorrow, be careless.